What is up, crypto gang? Welcome back to another episode of Hack Crypto, where we hack our cryptocurrency and blockchain education. If you guys are brand new here, we do a small little giveaway at the beginning of every single episode. Today's winner is The Bubbles Show. Thanks so much for commenting on the previous video. The Bubbles Show just sent you a Wax NFT. If you guys are brand new here, like this video, be subscribed, and comment something about the contents of this interview that I'm going to be doing today, and leave your Wax wallet address for a chance to win an exclusive NFT. Now, in this episode, I sit down with Cale Moody. He is the founder and CEO of Neptune. Now, this is a project that is based out of Canada, and it's publicly listed. So effectively, people can get exposure to digital assets by just investing in the stock. They're doing all sorts of incredible things, like buying into, these different master nodes that they have. They have DeFi investments where they're staking and making yield that way. And ultimately, they are doing proof of work mining as well, which I was really interested in, having done some of that in the past. I was really eager to hear about the sustainability angle that they're doing. And the highlight of this interview, if you stick around to the end, has to do with NFTs. So definitely stick around about what he talks about around NFTs and sustainability and how those two are linked together for essentially like a world first aspect here. So without further ado, let's dive right into my interview here with Cale Moody. What is up, guys? I am here with Cale Moody, the founder and CEO of Neptune. How's it going, Cale?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to dig into this because I think this model is quite brilliant. But before we get into Neptune, let's hear a little bit about your background personally and your crypto origin story and what got you into the space.
Yeah, I was a gold bug initially. I started out in sort of capital markets, finance, was really into gold and understood the sort of the principles of scarcity. And I've been in that space for a long time, investing in precious metals, silver, gold, stuff like that. And then, it's funny, back in, I guess, 2011 or 12, somebody told me about Bitcoin, and it was sort of like, I sort of laughed it off. And, what is this sort of digital air money? I didn't get it. But then I spent some time sort of looking into it. And I think I was on a roadshow in London, and my friend was buying Bitcoin on Craigslist and sort of accumulating. I think that was at $60 or something.
Wow, on Craigslist.
Ish. Craigslist in the UK. And he offered me up some Bitcoin, and I declined at the time, but it sort of rallied after that. And I bought into Bitcoin probably in 2013. So I think I probably got in when it was $400, $600. That was a fun time because it was sort of rallying to 1,000. And it seemed like just crazy how it was moving upwards. And that was sort of the start. In 2013, tried to start a first public company, which was early. And then in 2017, tried to start a Bitcoin trust. And at that time, it was still sort of considered a novel asset class. So we got declined by the OSC. We actually went all the way to the sandbox and pitched it to the OSC. And they said it was a novel asset class and basically terminated our application. And so that sort of was like the foray into crypto. And then we decided to start this company, Neptune. Neptune Dash was called back then.
Got it. Boy, the times have changed, huh? Now
Yeah, they really have. It's quite exciting.
Yeah. And that's right when I got involved too in 2013 during all that kind of craziness right before Gox happened and that run up. I think a lot of really great thought leaders in the space came in at that big kind of craziness that happened back then. And after Gox happened, it was just a desert, like a no man's land. Nobody was really.
It was terrible. It was, yeah. It was like a few people, and I think the reason I sort of stuck with it at that time was just because I didn't bother playing around with my wallets. It was my Bitcoin was sitting in the wallets, and I didn't really know how to deal with it, and it wasn't worth a lot of money at the time, so I sort of forgot about it. But Gox was a disaster, and scared a lot of people off. And there's less and less disasters now. So, that's a good thing for the space, and hopefully eventually there will be no disasters. And, I'll stop hearing the pundits talking it down. It's seems to be sort of still this war out there about digital currencies and if it's real. And I feel like we're so beyond that. But looking at Twitter at any given day, you can still see there's a ton of hatred for this stuff, and I think it's just people are afraid of change. And change is coming, and digital finance is here, and it's either adapt or now or adapt later.
Yeah. And I remember that everybody actually thought that there was a probability it could just be over after Gox happened. I remember the sentiment was so bad that people were like, this is just good run, guys. It was fun. I remember that. It literally felt like it could go down completely, like the experiment.
Oh yeah, go to zero. And I remember it was 2013. We tried to take this company public. What was it called? We called it Bet Noir. And we tried to take this company public, and after it was, and then it was the crash, then it was Mount Gox, and then we said, oh, thank God we didn't take that public because Bitcoin's dead. And it wasn't. And after that point in time, I became a believer.
Yeah. So that brings us to Neptune. What is Neptune, and what is it trying to accomplish?
Yeah. So initially we started out as sort of a pure play. So we started building master nodes in the DeFi space, which was pretty interesting. I'm not sure if are you familiar with Dash tokens?
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah. So we basically raised $20 million in 2017 and bought a whole bunch of Dash. I think looking back, we bought maybe 19,000, but it was $2,600 or $2,000 for a Dash token. And so we bought these tokens basically at the top of the market, but we built these master nodes, and we were a Dash pure play at the time, hence Neptune Dash. Our ticker was Dash. It was really cool. People liked it, and that was sort of the proof of stake component of Dash tokens. And so we built these master nodes. The master nodes kicked out some revenue. We took the revenue, we reinvested more Dash, and hence you had sort of this growing network of master nodes that we owned. But, unfortunately, Dash wasn't the token, and it collapsed. And sort of, the model of our business was really appreciation of the underlying asset. And because we didn't get that, we entered the bear market for a couple of years. It was tough times, right? So we no longer became that pure play of Dash masternodes. We kept some Dash masternodes, and we do like them. And I think Dash has a future. But we really sort of leaned in towards diversification. We like the proof of stake elements of some other tokens like Cosmos Atom. And so we built up sort of a delegated to the validators, and we got that 10%, and we're like, wow, this is great, especially since we got in at probably $3 or $4 into Cosmos Atom, and now it's at 22 or 25, 20, 30 Canadian, I think. So that's been a really successful venture for us. And then, last year we were like, we need some Bitcoin. I mean, we had a bit of Bitcoin, but we wanted to buy some Bitcoin, and that was sort of the start of the pandemic. So Bitcoin was really down at that point in time. So we added some Bitcoin, and then DeFi started kicking off, and, then it was like, okay, well, we can earn on almost everything. So let's build this massive diversified portfolio where you get the appreciation in the underlying assets. We invest in DeFi, high yield spaces where we can actually earn income, try and get, as much income as we can through proof of stake, DeFi, whatnot. And we'll build this high yields growth portfolio. And that's what we did. And, we got a bunch of Bitcoin probably at $6,000 to $9,000. Hindsight, we should have bought a lot more. And we were very careful not to blow up our cap structure, obviously, during the bear market. So a lot of companies raised at, pennies. And, they have hundreds of millions of shares out. So we were very cautious to not do that. We took very minimal money that we needed just to buy a little bit of crypto. We cut our costs down to, nothing, essentially. We didn't get paid, and accrued on the balance sheet, and, just kept chugging along, and it served us well coming out into this bull run. So now, when people invest in our stock, now they're getting a whole whack of stuff. I mean, we're really a diversified play now. Not only are you getting appreciation in all our assets, our crypto assets, you're getting that yield, and now we're into proof of stake. Our background has been proof of stake, but now we're loaning, we're taking advantage of the DeFi space, We're doing some interesting derivative structures that's enabled us to buy mining rigs without actually raising capital. So that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And we protected our downside risk as well. We've done some really great hedge plays, some put and call options. So we'd be really able to capitalize in this space without blowing up our cap table. And so now we're driving forward. We're doing some really cool stuff that we can talk about here in a moment, on the mining front as well, on the actual proof of work, traditional, both conventional and some green carbon neutral mining.
Yeah, that was really what I wanted to discuss, because I think that has come up quite a lot in kind of mainstream conversations on your Bloomberg and your CNBC and stuff like that now, where people are all just angry at the energy usage, that there's a high probability it would be wasted anyways, but they're angry that people are using that to mine Bitcoin. So I was really curious, what are you guys doing to kind of combat that argument and doing it sustainably and trying to get that sustainable stamp, I guess you could say?
Yeah, there's a ton of controversy obviously around that right now. I think statistically right now, I think 40% of mining around the world is renewable. We obviously think that should be a lot higher. So, again, there's that argument, like what is the actual fiat monetary system? What is that in terms of carbon emissions? But I mean, we won't go down that road. But I do believe that the future of Bitcoin mining is going to be carbon neutral and green. Here in Canada, we have a lot of options for conventional. Obviously, in Alberta, natural gas. Here in British Columbia, where I live, there's a ton of hydro. So hydro dams everywhere. A lot of them are mothballed, actually, just because we have so much power in BC, and it's inexpensive power. So there's a lot of run-of-river and hydro dams that have been mothballed that we could probably fire up. So that's some things we're looking at. But initially, we're doing this. We have this partnership, obviously, with Link. Link team is great. We're good buddies with them, and hopefully we're going to do a lot of exciting things with them moving forward. But initially, we're doing some conventional stuff with them, just because we're not experts in purveying power and maintaining Bitcoin mining rigs and that sort of thing. So it's best for us to just pass it off to somebody who has that expertise. Mm-hmm. So we do have a conventional operation that's firing up probably this week. Hopefully we'll be plugging our new rigs in. But we also have this green Bitcoin mining stuff. So we're starting with a 5 megawatt plant. That's probably going to be scaled up pretty rapidly. Not only are we going to be running our own rigs there, but we're going to be hosting others as well. And that's going to be initially, we're going to be tapping into natural gas, and then we're going to be whittling that down as we build solar and wind on those facilities. And it's interesting because, we can tap into the cheap natural gas, and then we can get a solar company to come and set up a solar array. And then we just buy the power directly from the solar company. So we actually don't buy the solar facilities. Again, that's outsourced to the experts who are doing that, and we're just buying the power from them. So I think we're looking at about 5 cents a kilowatt hour initially, but I'm sure we can whittle that down as well. And then we're looking at some wind stuff as well. So, I mean, there's a few facilities we're looking at, but we expect this to come together pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's exciting, because I know that there have been a lot of conversations around it, and I have heard that 40% figure in the past around the sustainability, because a lot of the people that are coming into the space to do mining have that in mind from the start, right? Like they
right.
approach it that way because it is a huge value proposition. Somebody purchasing Bitcoin from, you guys knowing that it was mined sustainably. I think that that's such a really impactful statement that not many people have really thought through yet, I think. So it's cool that you guys are really leading the way there with this. Yeah,
and we're not the only ones. I mean, there's other companies who are working on this stuff. I believe Hive has some carbon neutral stuff, and they're running GPUs. I don't think they're ASICs, but it is a direction that everybody's going. We can provide the facilities and host all those other companies who want to plug into a carbon neutral grid or power source. That's great. We'll do that. We'll also have our own machines there.
Mhm.
So we see as expansive. This 5 megawatt plant will be sort of the initial proof of concept,
Mhm.
and then we'll be scaling that drastically over the coming years. And we're I would say we're experts at managing our assets. So we're gonna cover ourselves and hedge on the downside, so we have some protection in case Bitcoin moves down. And we're gonna run this thing really well.
Yeah. And I talked to Core Scientific probably a few months back.
Mhm.
They're doing a relatively large operation in the southeast of the United States.
Hmm.
And they talked a lot about how they're really hiring local, workers to help in these facilities. And I think that's an indirect value that, I'm sure you guys are exploring as well with kind of revitalizing areas that have maybe been disrupted by technology,
Mhm.
where there's warehouses and things like that. But have you guys explored, hiring local economy, workers and
Oh
things?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm an Albertan originally, so I'm from that province. So is Steve over at Link. That's our roots is in Alberta, even though I've lived in British Columbia for 20 years plus. But Alberta's been fairly decimated by the drop in oil prices, and as we move to sort of this electrification economy and move away from fossil fuels, I mean, that was the backbone of Alberta for the last 20 or 30 years. So it's really important, I think, to grow the new digital age in Alberta. We're hoping there's probably some government investment and grants, but that's not necessary for us to operate there. But yeah, of course, we'll be hiring all local. It'll be all local, and we're hoping we can drive some value to their economy and help them recover from the changing times.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see it being a trade in the very near future, like trade schools popping up, teaching people how to
Yeah,
operate rigs and stuff like that. I can definitely see that future. So
yeah.
what stage are you guys at, and how big is the team? Obviously, you're a public company. What size of team are you guys right now?
Well, I mean, we pride ourselves on having very low op costs here at Neptune. So we don't need a big team. Whether we have $100 million in assets or $1 billion in assets, we still see our team as being a handful of guys.
Mhm.
We've got an exceptional board. I don't know if you looked at our board, but myself and then Callie, who's got a huge background in technology. He's worked for Nokia, Oracle. He's worked in Silicon Valley for years. He's been around the tech space. Dario Melli, who's an independent director, and he started Hootsuite, which is like a huge Canadian success story and known internationally now.
Cool.
Mitch is president of Netcoins, which is big. Obviously, that's been big, not only big but big story lately. Obviously, their stock's doing really well, and they're going through massive growth as well. And then we have another independent director, Carmen. So that's our team of five essentially, and we have our investor relations guy, Dustin Zinger, and that's really been our core team. Really, I really roll up my sleeves in this company, and I do pretty much everything. I'm a CPA by trade, so I can sort of go into a finance role, and then I can do some marketing. So, for us, it's about keeping our costs low.
Mhm.
We don't want to blow up our P&L just because we raise money or just because we have more assets. We don't see it that way. We see it as running a lean, mean team here. And again, having two CPAs on your team is good in terms of accounting. But so yeah, so we probably will be hiring more. I mean, as we grow in size, I think we're 100 and something million market cap today, but obviously the goal is to become $1 billion company plus. We're going to be pushing we're going for an OTC QX listing, which is hopefully imminent. We will be pushing for a NASDAQ listing eventually. We're going to have to meet certain criteria. So if all works in our favor, we'll meet those criteria. We'll be listed on NASDAQ, doing a co-list there. That's the goal. That's not guaranteed, but it is a goal. And so as those things happen, we're obviously going to have to expand somewhat. But in terms of boots on the ground, with our proof of work mining operations and our joint venture with Link, the boots on the ground is going to be them. That's their expertise. Rolling up our accounting sleeves and managing the crypto assets will be sort of our role. And I think we're very good at that, and generating yield on the yield. So, we'll mine Bitcoin. Those Bitcoin we're not going to be selling for operations. Those Bitcoin are going to be sitting on our balance sheets, and then we'll be reinvesting them and generating more yield on those BTC.
Nice. Nice. So changing gears a little bit, we've
Mm-hmm.
gone over your background. You got into the space in 2013. You've seen a lot coming in and out of the space.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Neptune in detail. What are you excited about, like in the space at large? Somebody who's been in the space for as long as you have. What are you looking forward to, and what excites you about the space?
Well, I mean, every day I wake up excited. I mean, adoption is obviously the biggest one. So, when my mom starts asking me how she can get involved in cryptocurrency and stuff like that, I used to see that as sort of my contrarian indicator, my indicator of a top. But I don't really see it that way anymore, because adoption is important for this space. So, when you get announcements like Visa and PayPal and Square coming into cryptocurrency, that's the real deal. I mean, there's no more debating whether Bitcoin is real or cryptocurrency is real, or the financial digital a revolution is going to happen or not. It's happening. So it's just a matter of people choosing when they're going to get in. Mm-hmm. So, I think adoption is key. That gets me really excited. The NFT space is really interesting. I didn't really talk about that much, but, the whole part of the idea of doing this whole green sustainable facility was actually getting those carbon credits. And, I see a future where carbon credits are tokenized and they're traded on a world stage. If we don't do it, someone's going to do it. And I think there's probably room for multiple parties to do it. But creating that value and associating a token with that value, and having that token, underlying token available to exchange in a world stage, I mean, that's pretty fantastic stuff. I think that's probably, maybe it's a couple of years out, but we're definitely going to be spending some time and effort developing that. So that's really exciting to me. But every day, there's new progress and things happening, and it's always a ride, right? It's going to be volatile. It's going to be volatile probably for coming years. We can talk a little bit about that, but we're no stranger to bear markets. We've seen it before. We've shown that we can weather those bear markets. We've been around since 2017. We're not just a flash in the pan here. We expect to have longevity, and we're managing things accordingly. So
yeah, and I love how you guys are on the front lines of bringing retail investors in, because you're publicly traded, which is rare, and I think that that's a great interface for people to really get exposure to crypto. It's in a way offering an on ramp for adoption, like you just talked about. So I really like that aspect.
Yeah, what's interesting is it's funny, because when we first came to market in 2018, we really were an institutional story. I mean, our entire raise was institutional. So we had Fidelity come in. Fidelity was, they're smart guys over there. They were early to the game. I mean, they were there in 2017. Now they're doing their own products, but Fidelity took 10% of our company on the raise and then added another 5% in the open market. So I don't know. I don't think we're an institutional story anymore currently. I'd say we've swapped all that off and we're entirely a retail story now. Mm-hmm. I think people like what we do. People trust us. We're all about execution. We say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. Our timelines might not always be perfectly accurate, but we're committed to doing what we're going to do, what we say we're going to do. And, and again, that longevity is a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And perfect timing for the Coinbase direct listing. I think a lot of people are excited about this historic kind of move for the space as a whole. But those are all the questions I have for you, Cale. What's the stock ticker, and where can people go and learn more?
Yeah, so we're NDA on the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture Exchange, NPPTF on the OTC, and we're listed in Frankfurt as 1NW, I believe. So we're on all three exchanges. And again, we're getting that OTCQX listing up and running here, hopefully in a matter of weeks. But, OTC and the TSXV are the best places and probably the most liquid markets. But interestingly enough, we have a great German following, and we love our German shareholders, and we have done a roadshow in Germany, back in 2018, and we had a lot of interest at the time in cryptocurrency. They liked gold, and now they like crypto.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, That's all I have for you. All the links, wherever you guys are watching this, will be in the description below. But thanks so much for coming on the show, Cale.
Yeah, thanks. Been a pleasure.
That is it for my interview with Cale Moody, the founder and CEO of Neptune. It was a lot of fun talking to him. We talked a lot offline about coming into the space in 2013 around Mt. Gox and just how crazy that time was. And also, we talked about the NFT sustainability credit concept. I think that that's brilliant, and somebody has to do it. And I think that these guys are very well positioned to do it. Now, as a disclaimer, this video is sponsored by Neptune. I saw what they were doing, reached out to them and said, given the Coinbase IPO, we need to talk, we need to do a video, we need to get this out there, because this is effectively interfacing with retail and allowing adoption to come in, get exposure to crypto assets through just simply buying a stock on the stock exchange. So they're listed in a bunch of different areas. So all the links will be in the description below, just as mentioned in the interview. And that is it for this episode. Slap a like if you like this and be subscribed, and I'll see you on the next episode of Hack Crypto.